What's up? Tim with Baker Street Timepieces down in the South. What's going on? It's this new energy drink. I'm all pumped up. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Chapter 3. Yeah. Third time's the charm. First and foremost, we will go through some industry stuff. There's a couple of new things that just hit the industry. There was a big event in Milan. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then we have a little bit of an extended evidence locker lookup of new arrivals. Had a bunch of new stuff come in this last week or so. And then the big news, the announcement, which is already live on the site, BST merch is now available, or what we're calling field gear is now available on the website. So we'll talk through some of the stuff that's available. And then on top of that, we're going to announce a couple of promos that I think will be pretty exciting. And then, in honor of the launch of the new gear site, we're also going to offer a code on the streams that if anybody wants to go and pick up a watch, we'll take $50 off any watch that's in stock with the code Watson234, and that'll be available after the stream is over. So once the stream is over, that code will go live.
So I guess only the keenest of investigators will know the meaning of Watson, and maybe we'll release that at some point later during the stream. But I did
Cool.
get a note saying they can't hear me. Can you guys hear me now or not yet? Hoping it's coming through. But why don't we'll move into the dispatch, Tim? Why don't you start us off in terms of kind of the first topic, and then I'll just make sure people can hear me now.
Yeah, so just basically around the concepts of scarcity, right? So it looks like kind of wait lists as a general statement are starting to get shorter. I mean, certainly tell that to the person who walks into the Rolex AD and attempts to go get a GMT Batman or a GMT Bruce Wayne or whatever it is. But
Sure.
apparently they're starting to loosen up. They've ramped up production over in Rolex land by quite a bit, but I think that, like, when you start to think about some of the other big players in the space that have had long-term waiting lists, I'm guessing that those are some of those waiting lists that are really shortening up. And that's according to the good old WSJ, Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say gone are the days of the waitlist because that would be ridiculous. Because I still don't think anybody would have
Yeah.
any luck just walking into any of these places and asking for it. But I think some of the things they quoted and some of the stuff that we were reading in prep for this were like some of those real high end brands like the Hermes and Patek and all that stuff were at least loosening a bit. I don't know. I don't think anybody at that the level of somebody just trying to walk in and buy a watch is going to feel any of that quite yet though. When I think about it, it's not like anybody's going to walk in and even get a sub at this point, where it might have been that way, 15 years ago or something along there.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's a sign of things to come. I guess that would be, one of the things to consider is like maybe this is like the tip of the iceberg, and we're going to start to see some improvements in that, which will again I think help some of the prices on the secondary market as well. Which would be nice, I think, for most people that are trying to get some of those pieces that are that statement piece in your collection.
I watch the Submariner market, as you were just talking about it a second ago. I watch the Submariner market really close, and you're really only seeing about $1,000 markup for a sub these days if you take into account average tax costs.
Yeah.
I think I saw one transacting in like the mid 13s for a black sub date. Those watches just went up in value again to almost 11 grand or whatever it is. So if you take 11 grand, you throw tax on top of that at around 8%, you're talking about, 12, almost 12,000 anyway. So like if you pay 13.4, 13.3, it's a $1,300 premium. That's, I mean, it's still ugly, but it's,
Yeah.
certainly better than it was. So.
No, I'm with you on that. And I feel like it also comes down to like at this point, there are people who are gonna want the watch bad enough they're paying the $1,300 premium. And then there are people that are just like, that's ridiculous. On principle alone, I'm just never doing that. And I can totally respect both sides of that argument. But
Yep.
Let's cut off our dispatch for 2 seconds because we forgot our wristwatch check. So all the best
Yeah,
plans, of
yeah.
course. So why don't you want to kick us off first and show us what you got on today?
Yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about it more in the evidence roundup, but I am wearing a 38 millimeter Breitling Navitimer Mont Brilliant.
Nice.
For those who know me well, the Navitimer was the watch that hooked me at 19 into high-end watches. I still own my own personal Navitimer. I have a Mont Brilliant Datora, which is slightly bigger and a little bit more involved. But I was really surprised. We were just talking before the stream. I wore this out for dinner last night, and I think it was a great fit for somebody who's got a little bit smaller wrist like myself. At 38 millimeters, it still has a lot of that Breitling presence. But for me, all Navitimers should be on Pilot brands. So I only wish it had a Pilot band for me. But for somebody who wants one on leather, it's beautiful and available on the website right away.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. I'm in a little different vein, so I'll show it here. So this is the Omega Aquaterra Summer Blue, and I'm wearing it. Kind of matches. Well, I'm colorblind, so I can't tell you if it matches my sweatshirt. It might not at all. But wearing it on the rubber strap that comes with this one. I have both the steel and the rubber for this watch, and I think the rubber is just so, I don't know, so casual. And I think it just, like, obviously it's not summer. There's 2 feet of snow outside. It's not really anything that would be even considered summer. But at the same time, I like to put this on, maybe put a nice summer scent on and pretend I'm on the beach somewhere. But yeah, so that's what I went with today. Super cool piece. I think, the Aquaterra is one of those that everybody thinks Omega, they think Speedy, or they think Seamaster. And I think, the Aquaterra has a spot in that lineup for a reason, has been around for a while. And obviously I'm a big fan of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Aquaterras the last time, but I think they kind of split the middle on that sport to kind of a more everyday piece in a way that some other brands don't quite have a fish in the a line in the water that do that. And speaking of tropical, Joe, I just had an impromptu idea. I haven't even told you this, but I just booked my trip. I'm going to the Bahamas in
Oh,
the middle of February. And so, yeah, so you'll have to deal with Joe while I'm away. But why don't we do like an impromptu thought around what watch should I wear to my trip to the Bahamas? I'm
bingo.
thinking my GMT Master. But I've got my Speedy, I've got a Seamaster, I've got a lot of choices in the old safe. So if anybody's got any strong feelings. And then I also need and may actually purchase a low end something, a couple $100 just to go and knock around on the beach. So if anybody's got any cool recommendations,
Sure.
I'll take a couple of pictures while I'm down in the Bahamas. And I'll be thinking about you, Joe, while you're digging out of snow while I'm
There you
sitting on
go.
the beach. So
Awesome. All right, so back to the dispatch now that we've had our brief interruption.
yeah.
I would say, I think we close out on the scarcity piece. Hopefully it's a sign of what's to come. I would say definitely not necessarily something that I would say is indicative of what we're going to see, but we'll see what kind of comes of that.
Yeah.
I know we had a bunch of new releases in Milan. Let's just kind of jump into some of those. What do you think of
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Let's roll through 'em. Let's see what we see.
All right, so I got them up here. So this is the tag releases from LVMH in Milan. And I don't know, my first reaction to this is that I think I have a hard time putting an $8,000 price tag on these watches. Like, I definitely think I'm seeing some improvements. I know, these watches in particular are supposed to feature Tag's new in-house caliber, so you're getting a little bit more advanced movement. But at the same time, it's, I've probably my entire collecting career seen these Tag chronographs in the $1,800 to $2,500 range. And for this to jump up to now, even on the secondary market, being a $3,000 to $4,000 piece, I struggle a little bit with that. However, I do think like some of the designs are pretty interesting. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I mean, I particularly like Opaline. I like anything that's got kind of that iridescent look to it,
Yeah,
so that's always appealing to me. I mean, uh, I can definitely agree at 8K. I'd probably spend my money elsewhere. Um, Even at 4K on the secondary market, but I don't know. I mean, listen, they've got to draw a line in the sand, I guess, and distinguish themselves and try to get away from that, $1,500 to $2,000 conversation. And it helps when you put a nice looking product out there. I guess we'll have to see how the market responds, and we'll keep an eye on it. But I
Oh
definitely
yeah.
like what I see. I like that. I like that double locking clasp there. That's really cool looking. Kind of the beads of rice
Yeah.
band. Like it a lot.
See, I like the strap. I just hate how impractical this style of closure is when you're trying to get it micro adjusted. I don't know. Maybe it's a
Hmm.
big wrist problem, but like for me, something like this, I don't have any ability to get that little tiny adjustment that I need to make it fit comfortable. So it's either going to be
Yeah,
massive and kind of flopping over my sides of my wrist, or it's going to be too tight and I'm going to feel uncomfortable with it. However, I just saw this strap picture. That's pretty cool. I think that's
I
a
love it.
sharp looking watch.
I'm in. Send me one for 2 grand. I'm all in, Tag.
I
Or
doubt
send me
that's
one for
happening.
free. We're watch influencers now. Or don't we get free stuff? Isn't that how this is supposed to work?
Out of his mind. Anywho, so looking at this, I think this was I was doing a little bit of reading on this particular model, and they were saying this was a nod, I guess, to a watch that they had that was manufactured for Abercrombie and Fitch, which is kind of another throwback name that's having a resurgence. And I guess it's got some sort of indicator for high and low tide over here, which is kind of interesting. I think the colorway is great. All in all, I think it's a cool watch. Again, $7,000 is not going to work for me, but I could see three, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how the secondary
You know,
market reacts
it's
to it.
I get it. Listen, you had a relationship with Abercrombie and Fitch, but that to me doesn't scream $8,000 investment in fine Swiss watch craftsmanship.
Yeah,
Like if you had a relationship with LVMH or one of those, other big, luxury brands, maybe. I just
yeah,
maybe I've got it wrong. I just never viewed Abercrombie and Fitch as a luxury brand to tie off to. So what
yeah,
do
yeah,
I
yeah. No, I get that. I think who was it? Hamilton. I think Hamilton used to make watches with Abercrombie and Fitch on it. Someone could fact check me on that. I think it's right though. And then this was the other one. So again, like cool looking watches. They look great. Kind of got that real racing inspired piece to it. But I would say again, a little bit. I would say priced out of its league. Although the first one was sold out. So what do I know? Maybe we missed the mark on that
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we should have bought them all. Yeah, I'm not the biggest green fan. I know that's been like the hot color of the last, call it, 4 or 5 years, but yeah, it's nice looking. I had a Starbucks for a little while, and I found it very difficult to wear it.
yeah,
I would wear it here and again, and I would always kind of look down at the color and go, it just wasn't doing it for me. So
yeah.
anyway,
No, I got that. All
yep,
right, so that's tags releases, and then there was some new releases from Zenith. So this is their Defy. It looks like a Torb, and it looks like a skeleton dial. I mean, it's pretty cool looking. I don't know if it's for me. It's more like high horology than I would wear on a daily basis, I guess I would say. But it is interesting. And one of the things that
yeah,
was said from some of the people that attended was that Zenith was leaning into different colors, different mediums, a lot of gold on display, a lot of two tone and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of an interesting indicator. I wonder if we'll see some of that from some of the other manufacturers as we kind of see what their offerings look like throughout the course of the year too.
what's the price point on that skeleton tourbillon?
Oh boy, who knows? Let's
Do you
check.
have it there?
Not up, but let's see if we can click into it for us.
So while you're
Just
digging
a
through
quick
that,
103,000. Not a bad deal.
I mean, that's actually pretty inexpensive for a tourbillon, to be honest. There's several
Yep.
that are quite a bit more than that. I had a conversation with a client about we have a Zenith Defy in stock, and we were talking about how, especially on the secondary market, the Zenith high horology pieces are really a strong value when you think about them in comparison to some of the other high horology houses. Um, so you got that going for you. I mean, it was good enough to go in a Rolex Daytona. I can't argue with the movement. The horology is
Yeah.
good.
No, the skeleton's kind of a unique one for sure. Let's see what else we got here. And then there was the other kind of thing that made a splash was the Defy Revival. So I'm pretty sure the original watch within this lineup dates back to like 1969. I'm sure somebody will tell me that that's wrong, but it's 60 something, 69 or so.
Yeah.
And it looked almost exactly like this. So this is kind of a true homage, no, not even an homage, a true representation of kind of what this watch was when it was first around. So I thought that was kind of a cool way that they didn't really change it up too much. I like those kind of striped indices. It's a little bit different. And then I don't know how many
Yeah.
corners are on this thing. I think it's octagonal or something. But whatever it is, it's a cool looking case, I think. The case shape is unique and interesting too. So I don't know if it's for me particularly, but I could see somebody who likes those kind of a little bit more funky pieces with a little bit pop of color, which again seemed to be kind of consistent throughout the conference. That whole idea of a little bit more bold colors. I could see them being interested in something like this.
Yeah, I mean the one that you had previous on the screen with the kind of sea blue and green colorway, I think is pretty attractive. Again, at price where it sits after it finds its way into the secondary market, which is where I would even begin to consider buying one. I think it's a cool looking piece. I'd love to see where it winds up in another year or two.
Yeah.
Maybe when we take one into stock.
Yeah, for sure. No, kind of cool stuff there. So I think, I mean, those were the main highlights. I think there was some additional stuff from some micro brands. I think Christopher Ward had some new stuff that they debuted, some other pieces, but we figured, those were some of the main pieces we wanted to kind of get through as we were talking to you today. So I think,
Awesome.
I mean, pop of color, I don't hate. I think it's cool. Obviously, I'm wearing a summer blue Aquaterra, so I don't mind that idea. But I think more and more people are, coming to the idea that like, hey, you should wear a wristwatch just for you, not for people to compliment or anything else. So if you like the color of
Hmm.
it, just go with it. And that's something I can
Yeah.
get behind too.
Yeah, I would agree with you pretty strongly there. My only kind of cautionary advice to somebody who's looking at pop of color type watches is if you're going to try to wear that in a very formal setting, you better really know your style game well to put that
Yeah.
out there. Like I look at your Aquaterra and I'm like, if I was going to go to a fairly formal event, I mean, that would have to be on point with like my pocket square
Pocket
or a
square.
tie or
Yeah,
something. It
yeah.
would have to be really dialed into the outfit. Otherwise, I don't know. You run the risk of being a slightly gauche, as you might say.
I'm never gauche. You don't have to worry about that.
No.
Anyways, I think that kind of concludes the dispatch section here. I think
Yep.
we're gonna move into some of the new inventory, so some of the evidence locker
Got a
stuff that we
lot.
have here. I think you got one queued up already, so if you're good, I'll flip it over and we can start talking through that.
Yeah, I got the Super Ocean queued up here. So this was I did a really interesting transaction with a collector who had several pieces, and we wound up buying and funding his next investment. But this was one of the pieces that came. I remember when this watch was first getting popular in the early to mid 2000s. I remember liking the look of this watch. That kind of lemon yellow sub ring underneath the bezel, kind of the large Arabic indices. I think this watch shows strong, but what it didn't do for that kind of mid 2000s time span when everything was 46 and even 48 and 50 millimeters. This is a reserved 42 millimeter watch, which I think really holds it in a place where the average person can wear it. It wears very much. I've worn it a couple of times since we've owned it. It wears very much like a sub, but it's got a little bit more pizzazz and personality, in my opinion, than the sub. So, what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think clearly we're right on trend with the pop of color idea. But I
Yeah,
think, yeah,
it's
to your
almost like
point,
we
I think
planned it.
the Arabic numerals I think are the biggest thing that jump out at me here, and also just it's a super clean and legible dial, right? It's just like
Yeah,
to me, it screams tool watch. It screams I'm working on a project around the house. I'm working on a car, whatever that is, or I want to take it to the pool or the beach or whatever that is, and not necessarily have to worry about it too much. I mean, this is on what is that kind of some like hybrid rubber strap. I think
it's a
to
hybrid
me then
rubber strap. Yeah,
it's like such an easy wearing watch. You don't have to worry about it too much. And you're not worried about scratching the heck out of the bracelet as you're kind of running around and doing whatever. So I think it's a great knocking
yeah,
around watch. It's one of those things where, if you're looking for one of those, almost like what you were talking about for the beach, right? This is a great beach watch, in my opinion.
very
It's
much.
fun, it's exciting, and it's not going to get destroyed going in the beach water, and you're going to have fun with it no matter what. So that's my 2 cents on
Yeah,
it.
and I love the fact that they put the yellow back color on the strap.
Yeah.
My wife will call that having fancy underwear, and I think it really strengthens the kind of the pop, but it keeps it muted from the top side, which is kind of cool. And to me, if I were going, all right, let's get really specific. If I were
Oh
going
boy.
deep sea fishing, this is the watch I'm wearing out on that boat while I go out charter fishing. So I don't know where that
Do you
came
have, do you
from,
have a
but that's what I'm
specific
thinking
fish
about.
in mind when you're going deep sea fishing for?
Marlin. Yeah, we're gonna go for marlin today.
Okay. So if we're going marlin deep sea fishing, this is the watch because
Okay,
it's got Breitling lingerie underneath. That's what we're getting to.
that's where we're at.
You nailed
That's
it.
the point that I'm making. Yeah,
I love it.
smash that one.
Well, the good news is we have
Cool.
a
Let
ton of
me.
stuff that's come in over the last week. So I know we have a couple other pieces that we'll be able to kind of display for you guys. Um, and, I think as we're going through it, please, if there are pieces that you're looking for, keep in mind we're also happy to source stuff for you guys. If there's a particular piece that you're interested in, or there's something that you said, hey, I just want kind of some price knowledge or some market knowledge on that kind of piece, we're here to be a resource for you as well as to help you kind of get that next piece on your wrist. So definitely, don't hesitate to reach out if you want to go through that. And we're happy to kind of provide that provide that service for you as well. What do we got next?
100%. All right, pop the.
Oh,
Oh,
look
let's
at
see if I
this.
can get that a little bit better. So this is same collection. Um, if you want something that has big boy energy without a lot of expense, this is a 44 millimeter Breitling Cult quartz. So airing away from the orology side, we have lost the original Breitling strap along the way, so we have a NATO on it here. But this is just a watch that you could pick up, run with it. I see this watch on a construction site with the right guy. Somebody really needs something that's going to take a heavy workload and still kind of show up as kind of a piece that you can be proud to put on. But give me your thoughts, Joe. What do you think? I think it's the first time you've seen it because you were away last week when I bought these.
Yeah, yeah. So again, I would say one of those pieces you could wear doing just about anything. I think there's something to be said for a grab and go watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to say the problem, but it's not really a problem. What you run into, obviously, as many people that are going to see this at some point will know, is when you have a bunch of watches in the collection and you haven't worn one in a couple of days, now the date's out, now you got to wind it, you got to set the date and go through this whole process. If you're just running out to the bank and you need a watch to grab or something along those lines, like there's nothing wrong with having something like this in the collection where you grab it, you just run and do whatever you got to do. And something like this, it's 44 millimeters, it's going to be a little chunky. But it's one of those things that, again, you're not going to worry if you bash it on the ATM machine as you're leaving the bank. It's not that big a deal. You'll be okay with it. I think the strap looks really good on it, actually, but I could also see this on like a black rubber strap. I mean, the dial is, I would say, not offensive to the point where you couldn't put just about anything with it. So I would say kind of a strap monster with that stainless, the aluminum bezel just being plain, no color to it. Yeah, cool piece.
Yeah, I like it. No, for sure not. Definitely a nice, easy way to invest a couple of bucks and not break the bank. So for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. What do we got next?
What's next on the list?
I was gonna say I was waiting for you to do something, but it's me. Hold on, I gotta take the Navitime. I know I gotta take the Navitimer off my wrist. Hold on one second.
We're going to the Navi next. So that's reference A41370. And this one, unlike its older brothers or bigger brothers, I guess I'd say counterparts, is not 46, is not 43, but is not 40, but is 38 millimeters. So this one will wear a little bit more tighty. I'll switch over there now if you're ready.
Hold on. It's being very uncooperative because it's on a deployment clasp.
Oh, I see.
It's not balancing. Let's see.
Oh, we're almost there.
Nope. Almost.
It does have that classic Navitimer look to it. It's got that Montbrilliant, almost like obviously it's part of the Montbrilliant collection, but it looks a little bit like a Montbrilliant Datura without the kind of date ring that goes around the outside. However, it does have that date positioned at the 4 o'clock position.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, I would say cool piece. I think, for those who want the kind of stylistic, kind of vision that the Navitimer brings, but don't necessarily have a wrist size to support the pie plate 46 millimeter. This is certainly an option, and I think it crams the entire look into that 38 millimeters quite nicely.
Yeah, I think, from my perspective, the couple things that jumped out at me when I got it in was the gold hands. I thought they looked really, really cool against the silver/whitish background. It is on a black Breitling calf strap with a deployment clasp. Very tidy, simple presentation there. And again, to your point on the 38 millimeter side, this is again starts to open up the door to a unisex wear. So if somebody
Yep.
is into the bigger kind of Navitimer look, but doesn't have the wrist to support that 42, 43, or 44 or 6 millimeter size. This is something where it can go a couple of different directions for sure. And also, the smaller size allows this to dress up a little bit more than some of the larger Navitimers, which is kind of cool. So I think all across the board, it's a very interesting combo. This one came in with a box. I don't think there's any paperwork in the box. I think it's just a box and the watch. But again, price wise, this is going to be one of those pieces where it's not a huge investment to get a lot of wear on the wrist. Especially when you compare it against a new one that would be $8,500. This is something you could grab for less than half of that, and
Yep.
certainly show up pretty strong wherever you hung out.
Yeah. No, I'd say it's a cool piece. Um,
Hmm.
I think, when I'm thinking about the Navitimer, I think it's just that pilot bracelet that makes it for me. However, the calfskin strap on the Navitimer, especially with those gold accents, I think looks really, really nice together. So I could see why
Yep.
people would be interested in something like that for sure. What do we
So
got
from
next?
the 38 millimeter subtlety, let's go to a pillowcase, 45 millimeter Italian stallion. The
Hey.
Panerai Radiomir. We had one of these in stock, sold it, bought it back from the same client who bought a different watch, sold it a second time, and now we have another one. I love this watch. And for somebody, I have a 6 3/4 inch wrist, so I don't have a very big wrist.
Yeah.
But I like the way that this watch fits on my wrist better than the Luminor. I had a Luminor for quite some time. I think the Radiomir, though it's a millimeter larger than the Luminor, this actually wears smaller because it doesn't have the big case, the crown guard. It's got the really, really kind of subtle place where the band attaches rather than
Yep.
kind of that chunky set of lugs. And I just think this is a really, really strong entry point in the Panerai lineup, and it's priced the same way. So I mean, this is the I think they call it the logo model or the GP model, and it's just like one of those pieces where you don't have to spend a lot again, right around that $3,000 mark, and you're wearing a Panerai that everybody is going to know from 10, 15 feet across the room. You're wearing the Panerai. So
Yeah. I mean, the Radiomir to me is, so the Luminor is what I think of when I think of Panerai, but really the Radiomir is those kind of those wired lugs, super cool and unique. The fact of the matter is this thing is going to be an absolute strap monster too. Like
oh yeah.
anything and everything you could think about would make this watch look fantastic because the watch face is pretty like straightforward. So any calfskin, suede. There's a lot of different examples. If you start to look up, Radiomir on different strap options, like the sky's really the limit. Especially if you get into some of those kind of unique or exotics, like there's some really really cool options for what you could put on here. I personally love the crown. It reminds me of kind of that pocket watch style. It's nice and easy to
Yep.
rotate, which is nice on any of these kind of ham wound models. And generally speaking, I think putting yourself into a Panerai for the price point that you're going to pay for something like this, it's a lot of wrist presence for that money. So super cool model. I think it's
Yeah.
unique, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'll throw one more thing in there. With the size of the sandwich dial, the lume is
Oh god,
bonkers on this
yeah,
watch. When you get a nice strong charge in that lume, and then like you walk outside into the dark, you're like it looks like it's it really is radiating across the room. So it's really pretty cool looking. So
yeah. I love all those sandwich styles, so I get what you're saying. All right,
yeah,
what else?
yep.
Should we do one or two more?
All right. Yeah, let's do a couple more. Hold on, I'm grabbing the next one. We had a lot of stuff come in this week. A lot of good stuff. This is really cool looking. We got this in. It should be ready to go. Yep.
Dude, you're
for
pretty
some
close
reason.
every time of getting these things in frame.
Yeah, yeah. It's like horseshoes and hand grenades. Um, here's the Tudor Daytona. The
The
Teutona.
tutored. Hey, listen, I love this thing. You don't have to tell me.
I I think it's awesome. Yeah. So Tudor Black Bay chronograph. All stainless look from the outside with the black dial. I mean, what can you say? It's pretty much out of the box. Going to show up big. It's got a nice big wrist presence. It's not too thick, so you can wear it. You
Yep.
probably get it underneath a suit jacket if you need to.
Might need a
And at the
crowbar, but you
same
could do
time,
it.
it's yeah, and it's rugged. It's a rugged watch. Um, you know, the less informed might even think it's a Daytona. So.
Yeah. I love it. I think as much as that the Radiomir is a strap monster, this will be equally as much of a strap monster. It's very straightforward in terms of the dial and bezel combination. I I know it's kind of a little bit divisive, but like I love the screw down pushers. I think that's a cool ad. Obviously a
Yeah.
nod to the Daytona. And I just think like when you think about the other models that this Tudor chronograph comes in, right? So that the black model, all black, and then the white model with the black subdials, like you're getting the same watch for significantly less than you'd pay for those. And at the same time, it's also going to give you all the same benefits from a movement and complications perspective, as well as ability to wear it with probably more straps than any of those. So if you're the person that likes changing straps and you like kind of, continuing to reinvent the watch every time you put a different strap on it, then this is the watch you should look at for sure.
Cool. We want to
All right.
shut that down. I'll swap them again. All right. Now we got a triple play coming in. So I've got two of them up here. Let's start with the classic. Hold on. Let's see if I can get it in frame right on the
Giving
money
you an
this time.
opportunity
Let's
to
try.
knock this one out. You ready?
I'm trying. Oh,
Close.
so
Close.
close. So close. So
Love it already.
close.
Sold.
Look at that. S&P 300 blue dial. So we got a pair of these in.
Yep.
One black, one blue. Basically, full kits across the board. Recently, I can't say that they've definitely been recently serviced, but they're running like they were. So I'm assuming that they were probably at least looked over.
They were.
Um, these are so ready to rumble. I can't even tell you. We've had so many. They've been on the site now for 2 days. I think each watch has gotten at least 5 inquiries. So somebody's going to land a beautiful watch, either the black or the blue. Or if they really want to go crazy and buy them both, tell them to mention Joe. And I heard Joe will give you $100 off if you take both. So
I mean, if you buy the pair, I guess we could do that. Yeah.
we could do that.
I
Yeah.
I love it. I think the newer iteration with the wave dial has its place, but I think like these kind of flat gloss black or gloss blue dials that we're going to see between the two of these, I think they offer, basically the same wrist presence, and it really comes down to preference. If this is what you like, and based on what we're seeing in the market, there are plenty of people who like this and prefer this model. So if this is the one you
Yeah.
want, certainly I would say this is one of the ones to capture just because it's got all the documentation, it's got your warranty card, it's a full kit. So they're getting more rare. I'm not saying they're not possible to find, but getting more rare. And I think this is a great example of one of them. So if this is what you want,
Yeah.
this is definitely not one to wait on for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And the pair of them are priced really, really reasonable. As we've talked about before, one of the cornerstones at BST is to be the cheapest option in the country, if at all possible, while giving you one of the best quality pieces that we can get our hands on. And I think these two are a prime example of those. So cool.
I agree. Are you
Let
putting the
me
black one up
show
also, or we're
you.
good?
No, I didn't bring up the black one.
Perfect.
But what I will put up is a kind of an opposite situation. We talk about, oh boy, hold on a second here. We got, let's see if I can get it in frame this time. Hold on. It's really being
Counting
uncooperative.
on you.
Let's try.
Let's see. Ah, close.
Oh, getting close now. So from a almost new perspective to a life well lived perspective, here's another quartz. Grab it and go. It's a 300, a Seamaster 300 professional. Uh, some people call these the Great Whites, although the Great White technically is the one that has the white bezel with the white dial. I think this thing is really cool looking. I'm not going to lie to anybody. This thing's been polished. This thing's been used. It doesn't come with any provenance at all. It is just in a box and a watch. But for that, you're still getting a lot of watch on the wrist for, I think we have this priced right around 2000, which is, just a ton of watch presents for 2K.
Yeah, I think this is going to look every bit the other two watches we just looked at, but with the quartz grab and go capability, and then at the same time without costing you as much as the others. So it really comes down to what you're looking for. I see this again, like if you're going on vacation and you just want to watch to wear around, town or whatever that is, like this is a great opportunity for something like this. Still got the shine because it's been polished, but at the same time, this watch is going to give you the opportunity to kind of wear it and not feel too bad if you happen to knock it on something. So that's my feelings on this one, but cool option for sure.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that brings us home as far as watches to go over. I had one more up, but I think we've gone through 7, so that's enough.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, guys, we have, I think, probably another 7 to 10 incoming this week. So we're going to have a lot of new stuff to show you next week. If you like Aquaterras, it could be a great week for you. But we do have a couple other things on the list that'll be coming in that should be really, really interesting. And hopefully people should be pretty interested in them. But all right, Tim, I'll turn it over to you. What's next on our list here, bud?
Well, so those that had a keen eye might have noticed something in my hand that has the deal hounds on it, as we call them. So those who don't know, I'm going to make a little introduction. She's very shy, but we did bring on a third person at Baker Street Timepieces. My wife, Larissa, is now working with us, and she helped us to come up with a line of merch, which we are calling Field Gear. And anybody who clicked around on the website might have found it over the last couple of days as we've been doing some testing for what it looks like. But yeah, we have a pretty comprehensive set of items that are now under the BST branding. Joe, if you want to pull those up, let's take a look.
Yeah. So as we're kind of going through them here, you'll see Deal Hounds. So for those of you who didn't know before, the nod to Watson. So Watson and Hudson, I have two dogs. One's a West Highland White Terrier and one's kind of a Schnauzer mix. And I don't really know the reason why, but at some point they were kind of brought into the mix as part of the logo. And what you're seeing here is actually them. I'll have to get a picture of them at some point to put out. But so the two dogs that you're seeing are those. And essentially we got a whole line of zip-up hoodies, regular pullover hoodies. We got some t-shirts for you. There is a tumbler. We got the water bottle. I love the mugs. I think the mugs came awesome. I can't wait to get mine in. And then the case log kind of notebook just to keep your watch investigations logged in and written down. So all of the stuff that you're seeing here is now live and available on the website. For each of these, please pay attention to kind of the different colorways that come along with it. I think some of these hoodies look really awesome in different colors, so you may find something that you like in one color versus another. And generally speaking, we're looking forward to getting some feedback and seeing how people feel about it. And then Tim, I'll turn it back over to you so we can tell people how they might even get some free merch.
Yeah. So wouldn't be a launch without some freebies to go out. And Joe and I were thinking, like, how do we want to go about that? Do we want to reward somebody who's already done some business with us? Yes, we want to do that. Do we want to encourage new people to come to the website? Yeah, let's give some to that person as well. And then last but not least, one of the things that I always like, all these promos are around getting people to buy something, right? And obviously that's what we're hoping that people will do. But nobody ever rewards the people who are like the unsung hero that just make the purchase and move on. So we're going to do that. So let me go over the 3 different ways that you can win some merch. Number 1, if you've already bought a watch on BakerStreetTimepieces.com, you are automatically entered to win what we're describing as a Field Gear package. And that package is going to include 1 hoodie, 1 ceramic mug, and 1 field notebook. So your guys' choice on colors and that kind of thing, size, we'll get that circled up at the end of the month once we pick the winner. So anybody who buys a watch from us through the end of February or has already bought a watch from us will be automatically entered, and they'll have a chance to win the Field Gear package. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is we are going to run a promo for anybody who is not currently signed up for our email distribution list. If you sign up anywhere between February 1st and February 28th, you will be entered into a drawing to win the same field gear package, which again will be one hoodie of your choice, one ceramic mug, and one notebook. So same situation there. And then last but not least, as the great act of kindness for those unsung heroes that just go ahead and buy anyway because they just want to buy something, we're going to pick one merch order at random at the end of the month, and we're going to refund up to $100. So you put your own package together, and maybe you'll get your whole order refunded to you because we want to thank the folks that just support us and go out of their way to try to help Baker Street Timepieces become a brand to reckon with, I guess, for lack of a better word. And one last thing I wanted to talk about is kind of where the merch is coming from. So we debated kind of how to get our product and get it to the public. We decided to partner with Printful. Printful is a ship-on-demand company, so everything is printed for you as you order it. So it'll be a little bit longer to get to you. But the couple of benefits of that is, A, we're not going to make any more product than we actually sell, which is an environmentally friendly way to go about it. Printful has an extremely good environmental track record. So if you feel free to go research the company that we partnered with. That's very prominent on their side. The products themselves do come from all over the world, but they are finally printed and packaged here in the United States. So we are supporting our local economy, which is very important to Joe and I. And then last but not least, they have an absolutely strict anti sweatshop policy. So all of the companies where they're buying from, they really, really go out of their way to vet them. And then Joe and I, when we picked the products, went out of our way to make sure that we picked luxury high-end products so that everything that you should get should be something that is really worth, buying rather than just another, crappy t-shirt that you throw on the pile somewhere. But that's my 2 cents. Joe, what do you think? Tell the people what you think.
Listen, I think I can't wait to get my hoodie. I was hoping it was going to get delivered yesterday. I was super excited to put it on. I know,
Yeah.
we painstakingly went through the process of picking, each of the products. And, one of the things we wanted is kind of that premium feel to it. So for those of you who get your products, feel free to let us know what you feel about them once you get them. I know we've had a couple of orders that have come through already that snuck through before the official launch. But we want to make sure you feel like you're getting a product that you could be happy with as well. So I'm excited. I think everything looks great. I think Larissa really knocked it out of the park. I think all this stuff looks fun, and I can't wait to get my pieces and throw them on.
100%. That said, I think we're at the Q&A side. I don't know who's in the stream, if we have more than just us, but if there are a couple people, anybody has any questions, anybody has any comments, anything you want us to cover next week when we come back to you, please, let's shoot it out there, and love to get some live Q&A going.
Yeah. I haven't seen any questions come through quite yet, but certainly
Okay.
we'll give it another minute while we close down here. But again, I think we're excited for the inventory that comes in next week. We think that's going to be stuff that people are going to be excited about. We really would love to get some feedback on this process because for us, we want to do what you want to see too. If we're going to sit here and be buffoons on camera for 40 minutes, like let's make it something that you would enjoy or you want to see or you want to learn about. And maybe it's, different things within the watch world that you want us to cover. So we're happy to kind of pivot and do that. But generally speaking, we want to make sure it's worth it for you to tune in. We don't want you to just feel forced to tune in either. So if you're not enjoying it or you are enjoying it, let us know what you like, what you don't like. We're happy to do more or less of any of it. So.
Yeah, and Joe said if we get to 10 people on the stream at any one given time, he's going to do hot oil wrestling with me. We'll scare you all.
I don't think we covered that
No?
on our notes, but yeah,
we cover that in the pre-screen. Yeah, that's what Joe said. He's
two
going
different locations.
Yeah, exactly. Joe said he wants to be Randy Macho Man Savage, and I'm going to be Hulk Hogan. That's what we're going to do if we get to 10,000.
All right. Anything else you want to cover before we sign off here?
No, man. I think we got everything out there. Once again, I'll say it because it just needs to be said. Thank you to anybody who has gone ahead and supported the business so far. We have had an incredible first 6 months. We're in the back half of our first year. We're well on our way to some of the big goals that we have in mind. And, we're going to continue to try to get the right watches on the right wrists with the right stories. And
Yep.
and I think that that's the three things that are the most important to us here at Baker Street. So unless you have anything else, Joe, I'm good to sign off here.
No, I think that's today's case file. Case closed on this one.
Case closed. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the week.